is Para. The book that I read for independent reading is called Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. It is young adult fiction and it was published in 2011. The book is basically, it's set in the 80s and it's a book about two star-crossed lovers. These two teenagers, they're in their third year of high school, so they're juniors, and they're both misfits, especially Eleanor. She grows up in a household where her stepfather beats her mother and he neglects their children a lot, and her real father doesn't really care about them as much. So she kind of takes comfort in music and clothes, and she has a different style of dealing with things. And then they move to a different house in a different neighborhood. She attends a different high school when her mom finally moves in with her stepfather, and there she meets Park, and Park is this half Korean, half white dude, and he's interesting. He's very quiet. He likes comic books, and I guess you could say he hangs out with the popular crowd, but he keeps to himself, and they go on the same bus and they meet there, and basically that's where their whole story begins. To make a long story short, they go through their forks in the roads, but they really do love each other. Park was Eleanor's first love, first anything really, and it's not only a story about love though. It talks a lot about hardships and how two people from different walks of life could end up, and it's really awesome. I really like the book, and I really liked it because it was set in the punk rock, New Order era. That's really awesome. So for schools of criticism, I said structuralism and semiotics, and the question was, what rules or codes of interpretation must be internalized in order to make sense of the text? And I believe that to make sense of the text, the reader must be able to connect the words. So I think because the text is so a broad range of social class, the reader, it's easy to connect with both the characters and the characters that are mentioned in the book. And Rainbow Rowell, the author, does a very good job at explaining how two different people can meet, and how to make sense exactly of the text. You have to understand the words, and you have to really, it's there, there's no message hidden in between the lines. It's very upfront, and there's some parts that are pretty disturbing. So to make sense of it, you do have to understand the context and different social classes, definitely, and what patterns exist within the text that connects it to the larger human experience. A pattern that I noticed was there was a lot of there were parts where Eleanor's past and her stepfather affect her so much in life that she distances herself from Park and the friends that she doesn't have, and she has two friends actually, and I noticed that it's a constant uphill, downhill kind of thing where he tries to calm her, and she just falls, and then there's that one tiny hope that he gives her, and they're back at it again, and they're good, and she's happy when she's with him. But it's always the same thing, her stepfather does something very not nice, and it's downhill from there, and it affects her a lot, and her relationship with her mother, it's not bad, but it's not amazing. He kicked her out of the house, and then Park comes in her life, and she notices that she likes being with him, and it's a different feeling, so she doesn't like it and she falls. But then she notices, I like this kid. It's a constant uphill, downhill. The same with Park, he comes from a tight-knit family, but he he's different from them, not exactly what they would want. His girlfriend dresses weird to them. She's very tomboyish. She comes from like another side of town. They know about her stepfather, so it's like they like her, they don't like her. His relationship with his family is like bad when they don't get along with Eleanor. But at the end, it's an interesting ending. Marxist criticism was my other school criticism, and I said, what social classes do the characters represent? And I really like the story because of this. There's different social classes completely. It's not like the same, like a jock and a cheerleader, fell in love and they're two rich kids, or like boat clubbing. They're completely different. There's Eleanor, who lives in a very rundown house with her 5 siblings. She's the oldest, who she basically takes care of, and her stepfather, and then her mother, who can't work anymore because her stepfather doesn't let her, can't do anything at all. So they're not living, say, the luxury kind of life. And then there's Park, who both parents have jobs, has only one sibling, and he has a car. He's not like super rich, but he definitely has more luxuries than Eleanor. So you could see like how two completely different people from different walks of life come together, and it's just like that whole opposites attract kind of thing. It's very interesting. How do characters from different classes interact or conflict? And that kind of ties into what I said with my last question. There's Eleanor and her 2 friends, D Nice and BB. I guess they're both kind of in her social class. They understand her way more. They connect to her a lot, and she can connect to them. They talk. They're not very close, but as close as Eleanor can get to anybody because of her life at home. And then there's Park, and then there's Park's friends, and I guess he hangs out with like the football kids and pretty cool people. So then you see Park and Eleanor get together, and everyone's just like, what? They never see it coming. And at the end, it's very interesting because you see the girl that Eleanor did not get along with, the girl that would bother Eleanor a lot. At the end, she welcomes her in her home with open arms because her stepfather goes on a rant, just looking for her everywhere. And at the end, the girl who Eleanor thought hated her guts, she's like, come in here. Like, I know stepfathers can be bad. They suck. Because I guess she was going through the same thing. You really don't expect that to happen because she's the popular girl. She's the girl that everyone really likes, and she's the girl with like the hot boyfriend and stuff. So it's very interesting to see that. And also Eleanor and Park, like, they're completely different people from different social classes, different walks of life, who end up coming together, and they interact in a very interesting way because it's not your usual lovey-dovey boyfriend relationship. It's more it's very real, and it's very heartfelt, and they go through problems and hardships in life and forks in the road. And it's very interesting how they interact because they really get each other. And they don't interact because they have similarities in like way of living or their childhood. It's their interests. They both like comic books, they both like the Smiths, they both like Joy Division, they like the same music, and it's really interesting the way they interact with each other. And the book was very great. I personally loved the book, and